Out here between orbit and silence, we don't always know what we're listening to. A blip on a radar, a break in the silence, or perhaps something more. My name's Lumielle and this here is CiCi. She's the controller of this here orbital station.
In orbit! Hi! Signal stabilized. Memory banks updated. Greetings and welcome to Signal Unknown. The broadcast where signals from beyond the orbit are intercepted.
CiCi, what does this signal have in store for us today?
Maybe something strange, a little spooky? But don't worry, I'll be right here the whole time. If it's out there, CiCi will find it. Though, with Signal Unknown, every signal finds you before you find it.
Oh, CiCi, look, it's ready. You're up, do your thing.
The Girl Who Remembered Tomorrow. It was a day like any other. A calm morning that wakes you up with a warm, gentle hug from the sunlight. The kind of day you wake with a smile and prep for the day ahead. Everyone has their own routines. Wake up, clean up, do their hair. You know the drill. It should have been a day like any other. However, the clock had stopped at 7:12 a.m., a Tuesday in the middle of spring. It resumed after around 3 minutes, but something strange had taken place that morning. A young woman woke up at 6:58 a.m. This created a paradox. You see, the world would reset every morning at exactly 7:12 a.m., when everyone seemed to rest. No alarms, no flashes of light, no warnings. This just seemed to reset. But one person remembered. Her name was Lyra Wells. She always seemed to wake up before it happened, not because she wanted to, but because, somehow, her body knew. The first time it happened, she thought she was losing her mind. She watched a glass fall from her kitchen counter, shatter on the tile, then blinked, and it was back in her hand. Whole, unbroken. That's when she checked the clock. 7:12 a.m. Again. At first, she tested it. She wrote notes, left messages for herself, carved a tiny mark into her desk. Anything to see if anything at all would remain changed. Every time the day reset, the world erased it all. Except her memory. The first few loops were almost comforting. Predictable became safe. Every mistake undone, every awkward moment erased, every consequence gone. It felt like cheating whatever was resetting the world every day. Days turned into weeks, and before she knew it, a couple months had gone by, while still being the same day over and over again. For everyone else, it was just a normal Tuesday, following their same routines like an NPC in a video game. Lyra learned people, every detail of their lives. The barista who faked her smile, the man on the corner who tied his shoe 3 times before crossing the street, the couple who broke up at 3:48 p.m. every single day. Lyra knew them better than they knew themselves. But no matter what she did, she could not change anything. That is, until the glitch. The day that something didn't come back. It started small, so small she almost missed it. At 8:26 a.m., she walked into the same cafe she had visited hundreds of times before. The bell above the door chimed. Things appeared the same at first. The smell of coffee wrapped around her like always, almost intoxicating with its aroma. Caramel and milk mixed with vanilla creamer, just how she liked it. Everything was normal, but when she stepped up to the counter, she froze. Every other reset, there was always a penny, face up, greeting her as she arrived at the counter. But this time, it was gone. She always gave it a spin just to see it land on heads once it settled back to its flat and resting state. What did this mean? Was the loop broken now? She thought of nothing else the entire day and awaited the next reset. The next loop, she went back to the cafe at exactly 8:26 a.m. to be greeted the same way as always, with a fake smile and the smell of coffee. The penny was still gone, but it was still Tuesday. Something was going on, and she was determined to figure it out. Why was this one object suddenly gone? That's when it dawned on her. When she walked into the cafe this time, there was no bell sound from the opening of the door. The man who drinks black coffee while reading the newspaper in the corner was also gone. Lyra blinked. Her stomach twisted from the realization. She checked the time, 8:29 a.m. Everything should have been exactly the same like with every other loop. Every single detail she had remembered. That's when everything changed. It was loop 183. At 2:03 p.m., a stranger looked at her. This had never happened, not even once before. He hesitated. Not the usual scripted passerby who's staring like a zombie into their phone. Not the unconscious ones, sitting on the benches or in their cars. He paused, confused. It was as if he recognized her. She chose to ignore this strange person. After all, he would just forget ever meeting her, and she'd be wasting time re-explaining that she had met him before over and over, same as all the others. Loop 187 came, and an eerie silence greeted her this morning. 7:12 a.m. as usual, everything reset back the way it was. Mostly, everything. Lyra had taken note of the few things that weren't resetting. The penny, the man with the newspaper, a little girl's backpack found beside a parked car, an umbrella that was broken in the trash can across from Miss James' apartment. Where could it all have gone? She went to the cafe at the same time as every day, 8:26 a.m. No sound greeted as she opened the door, same as the past few loops. The smell of coffee remained, and everything seemed normal. Well, the new normal. Lyra walked up to the counter like any other time, ready to order her morning coffee. The same aroma kept her hopeful that maybe this is the day the loop is finally over. But when she reached the counter, her smile faded. Rapidly turning into disbelief. There was no fake smile today. There was no barista at all. She listened to see if maybe she had, for some reason, changed the routine, but there were no sounds behind the counter. No humming espresso machine either. Just silence. Lyra blinked, panic taking over her mindset. No. She checked the time, 8:26 a.m. The same time it has always been when she ordered her coffee. The barista should have been there smiling, fake as always. But the girl was gone. The next loop, Lyra raced there first. 7:20 a.m. She hadn't even prepped herself for the day, running out of her apartment in her pajamas. This was earlier than ever before. She waited, watched, counted every second. 7:59, 8:10, 8:26. Nothing. The cafe was completely empty. It was as if none of them had ever existed. That's when she realized something worse than the loop itself. Something far worse. The world wasn't resetting perfectly anymore. It was losing pieces, and more each time. And once something disappeared, it didn't come back. Would this happen to her as well? Was it just going to reset one day and she would be blinked out of existence too? She tried to ignore it. Told herself it was just the cafe and a few items elsewhere. It's just an anomaly. At 3:48 p.m., The couple didn't argue anymore. The bench was empty. The man on the corner? Gone. The sound of traffic, quieter. Each loop something new vanished. A person, a sound, a tiny detail like a word on a poster. Gone. It was like the world was being erased. One memory at a time. Lyra had taken notice that the mysterious stranger was always nearby at 2:03 p.m., as if he were studying her every loop to see what she would do differently. She decided it was time to confront this mysterious man, since the cafe was more of a ghost now, and everything else was getting more and more eerie. It was as if this mystery man had become the one comfort in her daily life now. But why? Why was he different than everyone else? And more importantly, why didn't he vanish with the crowd that used to be around him at 2:08 p.m.? The next loop, she found him. Same place, same time. This time, she spoke first. "Do you remember yesterday?" He froze, and then, "I think I remember you asking me that before." That's when everything broke. Because if someone else could remember anything at all, then the loop wasn't a glitch. It was a system, and something, or someone, was controlling it. By the time loop 200 came around, it was almost an entirely different city. The population was less than half of what it used to be. So much quieter, eerily quiet. And then, the boundary appeared. Lyra didn't notice it at first, because it wasn't something you could see. It was something you felt. She wanted to walk by the cafe to get a glance at it, trying to remember every detail that had faded as it looked like it was never even a cafe now. She felt a pressure, a weight, a resistance in her chest when she walked too far from her apartment. It was like she was moving through water. This never happened before. She was always able to go to the edge of the city. She tried to leave it this time, panicking from the weird pressure. She collapsed. Her legs had given out. Her vision blurred. And the world snapped back to 7:12 a.m. This was unusual, as it reset much earlier than it was supposed to. After that, the distance shrank. Every loop, just a little more. Streets she could once walk freely, now felt like miles away. Loop 212. She couldn't even reach the cafe anymore. She felt like she was losing her mind and will to go on, finding each loop more and more pointless as she would spend most of the day inside her apartment, just waiting for the reset. By 221, she couldn't even leave her block. And the silence? It was getting louder. The mystery man was still there, still reachable. Every reset. He was the consistency now. Only him. Fewer and fewer people filled the street each time. Fewer footsteps. Fewer voices. Fewer proofs that the world was ever real. And then, on loop 237, she saw it. At the edge of where she could still walk. Just before the pressure crushed her lungs, something stood there, not moving, not breathing, watching. It didn't have a face, not really, just the shape of one, like something trying to remember how to look human. Lyra couldn't scream, couldn't move, because deep down, she understood something in that moment. It wasn't outside the loop. It was inside it. And it was getting closer. Every time the world reset, it didn't. It just got smaller. Feeling more anxious than ever, Lyra went to the one person who might understand her panic, the mysterious man. She approached him asking if he remembered anything. His response, fairly predictable. "I think I remember you asking me that before." It was as if he was partially resetting too. At least, that's what she had thought until she saw the time. 3:41 p.m. He was out much later today, and he said he was drawn to her, somehow, like she had the answers he desperately needed. It felt ironic to her since that's exactly what she thought about him. She reassured he wasn't going crazy, remembering some things from before. It wasn't like her memories, where every detail was fresh and still there. His seemed to be a fog. That night, Lyra looked out of her window, the same thing she did every night before going to sleep. It was her way of waving the moon goodnight. This time, there was no moon in the sky, only darkness. It was almost sad. She saw it again, that figure in the distance, slowly approaching with each loop. What was it? Why did it never reset? And why? Now? The thoughts filled her mind, preventing much sleep. But she tried her best anyway, expecting to wake up in yet another 7:12 a.m. loop.
Whoa, talk about a mystery. Do you think there is more to this?
Affirmative, Lumi. File corruption occurred 34.5% into the signal. CiCi will perform recovery operations. However, it will take a bit of time.
I'm sure the listeners on the planet won't mind a little wait for such an intriguing story. I wonder what is happening. And what's with that man anyway?
CiCi likes a good mystery. It drives motivation to recover all data contained within. And CiCi will retrieve all lost data.
The origins of this signal is unknown. But one thing is certain.
There are signals out there, waiting.
When you hear it,
follow it back to me. Orbital Station Commander CiCi from Orbital Station in orbit. Tune into the signal once I repair this data and Lumi broadcasts again. For now, though, this is Signal Unknown, where every signal has a story. Until the next.
Logging out. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye-byes.